Meghan Markle or the Little Mermaid? Newsbreak coming up. Meghan Markle or the Little Mermaid? They both fell in love with princes, entered the royal court only to discover they had lost their voice. One is the fairy tale archetype known as the Little Mermaid, and the other is the well-known actress who married Prince Harry, Meghan Markle. When Meghan told Oprah that she could really relate to the fairy tale about a little mermaid who had traded her innate mermaidness to be near her prince, many of us understood. But becoming mute was too much a burden for her to bear. After all, an untold story makes for a very heavy heart. The fairy tale mermaid, on the other hand, does not win her prince, but becomes a seraph in the sky. Meghan got to marry her prince, while speaking out bravely against a culture founded on elitism. It made her feel marginalised and insignificant. Many everyday women fall in love with their men, their princes, only to come up against a family-in-law that criticises them, freezes them out, and prevents them from feeling comfortable in their own skin. They then don't feel they can make a contribution, let alone make connections and grow and thrive as individuals. Is one of your archetypes within the Little Mermaid, as it was for, and probably still is in many ways, for Meghan Markle? Let's follow the mermaid's journey to recognise the touch points of correlation we share and how we navigate the uncharted waters ahead. The mermaid is the classic free spirit archetype. She believes in the wondrous beauty of life, romance, and there always being a way where there's love. She, appreciating others' individuality, will not conform to fit in, but believes the world will be a much better place if we celebrate uniqueness, diversity, and collaboration. Indeed, she models her life from the clay of her dreams, and some do have a fairy tale ending. But when her shadow is triggered by others putting her down, such as calling her a Pollyanna or a silly pipe dreamer, and of course much worse, she will start to doubt herself, sinking into the depths of despair of inadequacy and not feeling good enough to love. We've all been told that we must love ourselves for others to love us, and the Little Mermaid brings this maxim into sharp relief. At first she is too sacrificial, doing everything she can to win over the hearts of others, only to find it's a fool's game. How can others see beneath all the people-pleasing to the deeper level of who you are, your worth and your lovability, if your self-esteem is low and you act in ways that are not loving to yourself? You, like the Little Mermaid, will come across as superficial, conflicted, and at odds with your authenticity. She also tried to force her hand, interfering with the natural flow of events in a bid to control events, until she had a moment of mindfulness and stopped short of doing something mad. The indwelling mermaid is sensitive, intuitive, and empathetic. She cares and loves deeply. This can make her expect others to give her their love and empathy as freely as she shares it. But sometimes she loves too much. Her told story shows that when we love ourselves, really love ourselves, we will be loved in return. This video is part of the Mythimo Archetypes series, which presents fairy tale and mythic archetypes to reveal our psychic patterning and shadow elements, so we may do the integrative work to reclaim our light and become whole and happier ever after. At this juncture, I'd just like to really thank you for all of the feedback we've been getting from you, and the fact that you've liked, you've subscribed, and you've shared our videos. Formerly, there's been Little Red Riding Hood and Jack and the Beanstalk in the Archetype series. Today we're doing the Little Mermaid. There are actually 22, so there's going to be a lot of content to come. So we really appreciate you going to YouTube and to Facebook, Patreon, and to our website, mythimo.com.au, where you can actually email us your questions, and you can organise to have a reading with me. And it's very personalised, even though we're using universal archetypes. We contextualise it to your personal circumstances. We'll soon be showing a reading on this site so you can see how it works. It's very effective. And, once again, thank you very much. We have the cards now, which will be the centerpiece of your reading. And today we're doing Little Mermaid. They're beautifully illustrated by artist Mythimo. Thank you, Mythimo, for your beautiful work. And thank you again. We look forward to bringing more content to you soon. Thank you. The Mermaid's hero's journey is the same 12-step journey you and I have followed and will follow time and time again, every time we start out on something new. The journey itself is an archetype, so it's a classic model, and we follow it always, whether we're going to go and start a new job, whether we're going to try doing a new process at work, whether we're going to fall in love, which is the case of the Little Mermaid, and so on and so forth. So let's take the steps according to Campbell's circuitous model that took her from mermaid princess in the sea to platonic human friend to the prince, and then finally to becoming a spirit in the sky. Only in the end does she come to realize that her soul learning is to love herself unconditionally. If others are ever going to love her back, if they're ever going to send a free flow of energy back her way. Every time we take on a peak experience, as Mermaid did, we confront the test of self-love by facing the antipathy directed at us from others who don't understand us. And we are given the potential to evolve, knowing our love for ourselves is the greatest love of all. Self-love or self-worth is the foundation to us having the belief in ourselves that fuels our push onto the next level of our lived experience. Jung referred to this state as being self-actualized. It can also be referred to as individuated, autonomous, or integrated and whole. We tend to talk about becoming whole in the Mythimo process. It is an integrative process. We, like the Little Mermaid, must go through the 12-step archetypal process before we're ever going to achieve this heightened state of being. So let's go. We'll start with step 1, the ordinary world, and step 2, call to adventure. So she lives as a mermaid princess under the sea with her father, the king, and her sisters. They live in a calm part of the ocean. Her father warns her not to go beyond the reef, as humans and danger will be found there. But, as happens in most fairy tales, the protagonist does the one forbidden thing. And there she witnesses a shipwreck, saves a prince, and falls in love at first sight. Step 3, refusal of the call. This is the juncture when we're faced with something new. Will we or won't we? At first she realizes he is human and she is mermaid, and ne'er the twain shall meet. She nearly doesn't pursue her dream to be with him. However, she has fallen in love with the prince and cannot get him out of her head. We're at step 4. This is where we meet the mentor. Tormented by her intense feelings, she visits a sea witch. She is a likely mentor who presents her with a reality check. Yes, with the help of her otherworldly magic, the Little Mermaid can become a human and so enter the prince's royal world, but there is a price to pay. She will have her mermaid tail transformed to have human legs, but will become voiceless as a consequence. All will be in vain if hers is an unrequited love. So we come to step 5, where she's the dweller on the threshold, standing there, will I or won't I? Will I cross that divide? The Little Mermaid has a very big decision to make. renounce her innate mermaidness and contented life with her family under the sea to be by the prince's side, or stay as she is and forget the prince and the dangers he presents. So now we're midway, we're at step 6. And this is where the little mermaid, like us when we're on our hero's journey, she'll meet tests, friends and foe. So, not being able to refuse love's call, she goes to the palace and befriends the prince. By now she has 2 human legs and is voiceless. And they do become good friends, but he never recognises her as the girl that saved his life. The girl that was a mermaid, that is. She harbours a deep secret love for him and dreams of the day they will be betrothed, but is shocked to find out he is promised to another, an original human princess. So at step 7, she enters the cave of despair, utterly despondent. And after seeking the wise counsel of the sea witch, she knows her sacrifices have been in vain. She can have the spell reversed and become a mermaid again and return to her life beneath the sea, but there will be a steep price to pay. She must kill the prince before he marries his partner at dawn. And still, there's worse news to come. As if there hasn't been ordeals enough for the little mermaid, but like us, when we're on our hero's journey doing something new, this is the point where we have a big ordeal. So the little mermaid is given a Sophie's choice. She loves the prince, so she doesn't want to destroy him and his happiness. But if she doesn't, she will turn into sea foam and dissolve into the sea. So kill him or dissolve. Step 9. There's a reward waiting for her, dependent on her choices. In the name of love, the little mermaid stands tall and speaks her truth. She cannot kill the prince. She tells her mermaid sisters, I can't do it. They urge her to do it because they want her to come back and live with them in a family life under the sea. But she says, I will accept bravely the consequences of my actions and without regret. No one made me do it. They were my choices. I stand tall. I speak bravely. Better to have loved and lost than never to have loved at all. So that is her reward. The fact that she's able to stand so stoically accepting the consequences of her actions and to do it without regret. Psychologically rewarding. So at step 10, this is when you make the road back to home. Only this time you're going to be version 2. So you'll have the benefit of the old world that you've mastered, and now you're the new you, ready to take on the next level. From the higher perspective, knowing she will dissolve into sea foam at dawn when her beloved marries his human princess, the little mermaid shares her goodbyes with her family, preparing for the worst. But there can be twists of fate at the 10th step of anyone's journey. Alright, so now we're at step 11. This is the resurrection. And it's called that because this is where we've had our epiphany. We've got the benefit of our experience under our belt. And we're suddenly now elevated into a higher actualized person than the person who started the journey. We're resurrected as version 2. So this is the Little Mermaid version 2 at this juncture. The gracious little mermaid is taken by surprise as she waits her fate. Instead of dissolving, she feels like she is transcending. She is being given a reprieve from on high for her loving goodness and is now resurrected as a seraph who will live on in the spiritual realm. So she's ditched the physical body, but now holy in spirit, she is being elevated. She will eventually enter God's heavenly kingdom. So here we are. We've rounded the home bend. We're at the step 12 where you have an elixir to share. And this is because whenever humans are able to master something, they are quick to share it with others and hope that they master it for themselves. We have an educative gene in us. So we return with an elixir. The Little Mermaid shows us what love is all about. She would rather forgo the prince's love than harm him for not loving her back. She might, even in the case of Meghan Markle, not want to harm the prince by having her resistance to certain formalities that were occurring, conformities that were occurring around her, and had him at heart when she made decisions. And he saw that. We don't know. It's all a matter of conjecture because we haven't Meghan here to speak for herself. But giving her the benefit of the doubt and her correlation that she publicly spoke about with the Little Mermaid archetype, I see the higher good in her decision making. I'll leave that for you to decide when you do that correlation for yourself. So she would rather forgo the prince's love than harm him for not loving her back. Her self-love is strong. She won't sell out on what she believes in or values just to get what she wants. She stands tall and speaks loudly about the power of true love. Others relating to the Little Mermaid hear her message and see her. She is not invisible any longer. Her image is inscribed in their hearts. She may not have achieved a human form of love, but she did win a higher form of divinity. Her elixir to share is that our self-love is enough when love is not returned, and that if we stay firm to our beliefs and moral code and stay open and believe and dream, a higher form of love will be ours eventually. We all appreciate that when someone undergoes a change, that they have taken one step forward but might relapse and take 2 steps backwards again. And this is the way it works. So before they sort themselves out again, they might succumb to their weaknesses. Now, in the case of Little Mermaid, we suspect that she could let herself down again next time she faces falling in love. So she'll have to work on that. Unless she sharpens her consciousness, she could fall in love at first sight again with a mismatched partner. You know, you couldn't get anything more mismatched than a mermaid and a human prince. It doesn't augur well, does it, for a happy ending? So she'll need to think about these things more consciously going forward. She is capable of deluding herself with pipe dreams that let her down. That's her weakness. That's her Achilles heel. She has to strengthen her resilience to that. In the next Mermaid episode, we will explore how she must own up to her disowned delusions, the building of castles in the air in hopeless situations, you know, the incurable romantic, being a pipe dreamer, in other words, before she'll be able to feel strong in self-love going forward. Because if she really, really loves herself, she'll protect herself and still leave herself open to well-matched partnerships. Mythimo Archetypes focuses on what one shoves into the shadow recess of their psyche and provides a way of reclaiming and integrating it back with the light parts of self. Thank you so much for watching. We really appreciate it. Thank you for those who liked, subscribed and commented on Little Red Riding Hood and Jack and the Beanstalk. We hope you do the same with this video. It really keeps us going. It motivates us. It gives us heart. If you like what we're offering, please go to Patreon and become a monthly member and join our Facebook page. Our website is mythimo.com.au, and from there you can email us, make contact with us with your questions and any feedback. Perhaps you've got some suggestions about what you'd really love to see provided here, and we'll be listening. Don't worry about that. Until we meet again, thank you and bye. Coming next is a really interesting fairy tale. It's called Our Lady's Child. We look forward to sharing that with you. Bye for now.